All right.
The list of many things.
I believe it's recording.
What's the tool of the week?
Oh, we'll just kind of pick one when we get to that point.
Just
Anyway.
pick a random tool from in here.
Welcome back to Gamble This. I was going to have Justin or Nick come and co-host, but they both bitched out again. So, only 3 of the guests showed up. One of them had to watch his kids, so can't go wrong there. So, with you?
Travis. 3 New York gamblers under my belt.
I am Tom. I haven't successfully made it to a gambler because I always seem to break it before I get there.
I'm Marshall. I've done spring and fall 2017, and then 2018, and then Frozen Nuts.
Weren't you at fall 17 also?
No, I was going to be, but I was in college, so
Yeah, I haven't done either fall event.
yeah, it's much crazier than the spring.
I missed fall 18 because it was the day after my daughter was born, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure if
I
I went,
remember
I
that.
wouldn't have been allowed to come home. So,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
No,
How was your kid though?
Good. She's growing like a weed. Brought her for a last checkup, and they said that they thought she was a 6-month-old when she was 4 months. I was
That's
like,
good.
she's gonna be tall.
Basketball.
Yeah. Maybe I can get her in the WNBA. I'll retire early. Thank you. Okay. So Eric actually had a pretty good suggestion. How many cars have you owned, and why have you gotten rid of them when they were done?
Oh, sweet Jesus. How much time do you have?
How much time was you need?
God, I've got
it
it.
to 10.
I've got to have over 50 cars at this point.
And how many of them were actually legally on the road?
Legally on the road?
Well, actually, let's just say on the road.
On the road? I don't know. Somewhere between 20 and 30 of them, I suppose.
Wow.
It's a good percentage.
Yeah, that's
Impressive.
You know, there's a lot of them were dubbed like parts cars or ambitions that never finished.
Like my aspirations on trying to get to the gambler. I just never managed to get there.
And a lot of the cars they do are usually like track only stuff too. A lot of my stuff really never gets the opportunity to see the road.
track only is too expensive.
Yeah. Where would you take it? Watkins?
No, I go drifting all over
Oh,
like the
okay.
Northeast.
There you go.
Oh, so you're buying like parts cars for your drift cars then? And
Yeah,
then-
pretty much. Yeah.
Do you just have a field
Yeah.
of 240s behind your house?
Well, currently, yeah.
What's your power plant that you're running in?
The one car has a CA18 DET, and the other one has KA that I'm turboing, and then another 240 I have is just the one that I ran in Frozen Nuts.
Yeah.
Is just stock KA.
Oh, okay, I remember that one.
Yeah.
One that was overheating when it got to base camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overheating when it got to base camp. Overheating about every 30 minutes.
Overheating when how cold was it?
Yeah.
That's the impressive part.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I think I've actually got it figured out. So I was sitting there one day, and I was just pulling on this hose, and I'm like, well, I never once thought to check for the overflow. And I was like, I'm not seeing an overflow. Where's this hose going? And it's just down in the wheel well, and I'm like, I'm going to make an overflow real quick, and hasn't overheated since.
Nice. I've actually got a KA24 outside.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just the wrong way around.
Oh.
Longitudinal.
Yeah.
Those are less fun.
Yeah. But I could use the same turbo. 300 horse before the transmission breaks in half.
Interesting.
I don't know.
To the front wheels?
Yes.
Rear-wheel drive KA trannies can break under stock power.
Yeah. Which is 130 something.
Yeah.
So my car line. Started out with my parents' Buick, bottomed it out, ripped the radiator plug right off of it. 93 Ford Explorer I paid $300 for because it had an exhaust leak and an oil leak. Idiot didn't replace their oil filter ever, and it was like the size of a dime, so I replaced the oil filter, and then I ratchet strapped or little screw thing to coffee can around my exhaust and fixed it. And I blew the brakes on it, and then I fried the transmission. Then my 2001 Subaru Outback, blew the brakes, fixed them, blew the brakes, fixed them, blew the brakes, fixed them, fried the transmission. Then my Ford Focus, I mean, that thing was a tank. It did anything, and I love that little car. I'm so upset I had to get rid of it, but blew the brakes a couple times in it, and then the gas line in the bottom where the filler tank was just rotted out, so it was spilling gas, and then it started burning oil. It was coming out. The smoke was coming out the same color as the car was, so time to get rid of it. And that was my last car. I broke them all.
Looking for the next one.
That I'm gonna break.
Yep. I started out with a 1971 Triumph Spitfire that we dragged out of a field that had been sitting for 20 years. No floors, no hood.
Flintstone style.
Yeah. And the hood on its Spitfire is the entire front end, so that's cool. Got that running. Drove it the first time with no brakes whatsoever, not hooked up, no master cylinder around the block. It's good. Burned it down twice now. Managed to put it out before it took anything out too badly. One time the throttle cable welded itself to the hood. That was cool. it sawed through the starter wire, electrified itself, and arc welded the entire length.
Wow.
That's impressive.
It was great. And I have a battery disconnect because it lights on fire so often, so I just turned it off and it stopped. I was going down 5 and 20 in Geneva and just down this huge hill. Like, well, I'll just burn all the way down, I guess.
Let her stop in a smoldering stop.
Yep. After that, 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, worst Jeep ever made, I think. Even worse than the Liberty, because it is four-wheel drive.
That's pushing it.
It is four-wheel drive, but I got that thing stuck more times than any other vehicle I've ever owned. Not doing anything crazy. It's just bad. And then I put the shocks into the passenger compartment, carrying 2 cords of firewood in it. They went through the floor.
That's quite impressive.
It was good.
There's going to be a lot of people complaining about the comment you just made about it being worse than a Liberty.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the Liberty survived frozen nuts, but
That's
your
true.
Jeep didn't.
No, it didn't. No, it died because, what did it do? I went to Mid Lakes, and there's, I don't know, I think it's MacGyver Road, but there's this hill that comes up to a point, and that hill ices completely. And with 4 good winter tires, that thing slid backwards down the hill into a ditch and broke the transfer case. So, that was not good. Yeah, so then string of 92s, 92 Corolla, that was good. 92 Nissan Stanza, which is my current daily driver. 68 Chevelle, 4-door, put together by a drunk. This guy, I went to test drive it, and he had swapped it for a modern Vortec with a fuel pump, but he hadn't done anything. He just threw it in the tank with a hose clamp. And so immediately on him turning the key, it shot off the hose clamp and then ringed around like a ping pong ball inside of the tank. And we had just put 5 gallons of gas in there. So this dude got under there, pulled the gas tank out, and in the time it took that, he literally chugged probably 5 or 10 of these.
Wow.
What a champ.
His wife came out and was handing them to him under the car.
She's more of a champ.
Yeah.
And I asked him why he sold it, and he's like, "This house has ghosts. We need to buy a new one."
That's,
Okay, dude.
there should have been. There were so many red flags there that you should have been
But-
like, you know what?
It was $1,000, and it had a clean title, and it was not rusted. But anyway, I had to sell that when my '84 Chevy blew up a transmission. Ate a washer and popped the sun gear out. That was fun. And broke the main shaft. And then I started gambling, and I got the school bus, Gary Bussy. That's a good vehicle. We got it from our friend Eric down on Long Island. He couldn't keep it anymore because the town was screaming at him because he had a
Sitting in his
26-foot
yard.
sailboat, a deuce and a half, a school bus, 2 F-350s, and then his mom's car. And so then that vehicle has an appetite for brake lines. It has blown every single brake line since we've owned it.
That's
Well,
what
at least
that's
you know you
that
got
was
new
my
ones.
Subaru.
Well, yeah, but we almost crushed some kids on the way to the spring event in 2018. They jumped in front of it, full stop.
And then you just feel it.
Yeah.
"Arr, arr,
Well,
arr."
crap.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. And then And then our current 2001 XJ, it's the one with the winch on the front mount and nothing else done to it. And so, yeah, there we go. Up to present.
I started with a 95 or 94 Honda Civic that I got from my brother that was completely rotted out. After many hours of body work, it finally was halfway decent. Then the floor pan started to go. And then at the time, I was like, yeah, lots of camber and low. And then I realized I couldn't go anywhere around here with it.
Nope.
Nah. It ran, had a bad head gasket, and I drove it like that for, I don't know, 10, 15,000 miles. Just kept cooling in it, and it was a good car, never let me down. I smoked out I-90 once going up to street scene. We literally, everybody pulled over because someone tried to race a GTR and lost, and the cop wasn't too happy. And as we pulled back out on 90, the coolant had just been pooling on the cylinder head, like from the cylinder head onto the pistons. And I smoked out probably 100 yards of I-90.
At least it smelled like maple syrup. It's not like it's like a bad smoke smell you're driving through, you know?
Everyone was like, who did the burnout? And I was like, that was my engine. Not a burnout. But drove that for a while, parked it to put a motor in it, and then ended up trading it for my current Toyota Gambler. 89, just pickup because predecessor to the Tacoma. It's been good to me. I've only put like 3,000 miles on it, but it runs like a champ. Burns at every fluid imaginable.
That's fine. That thing's good though.
Yeah.
You were doing work pulling CJ out on that.
Yeah, I still
What
feel
Gambler
bad
was
about
that?
Spring 18.
Yeah, okay.
Because I ripped his front bumper off.
Yeah,
And
that
we're
was,
sitting there trying to
that's
figure
kinda
out what to do.
His Eagle? Is
Yeah.
that the one? Yeah.
And then we all hear a smash and look over and the tree's just kind of doing this. Meanwhile, a Subaru tried to eat that tree.
Oh,
And
yeah.
lost.
Oh, the Outback
That-
when he
yeah.
like hooked and just.
That video will never
I
get
told
old.
you I should have
Yeah.
drove.
I so wish I had seen that. I had literally just turned my back and then I heard. Oh.
That video will never get old.
I know.
I can go back and watch that
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't try to take that line because apparently it was aim for the stump, it'll bump you over, and then you're good.
It wasn't-
I didn't. I like when I watch it. I had to watch it like 10 times to see what the hell he did. I couldn't figure out what he did at
Just
first,
cut
and
it a
then
little too
yeah,
hard.
and then it just
Yeah.
he just hooked and it.
Getting the Audi up that was just horrific. That thing.
We were able to pull it for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
I had to hook the truck up to it and drag it up.
Mhm.
I'm surprised that Audi did as good as it did.
I know it's funny because my mom has a very similar car and that thing is garbage off road, so I don't know how they did it. Yeah. Oh, I forgot one car I had. It was the lowest 1980 Volkswagen Rabbit I have ever seen in my life. It seriously was about 2.5 inches off the ground, and it was done by a Volkswagen mechanic in Buffalo. And when I bought it, I accidentally went to Canada almost. So that was cool. But it was so low that the first time I took it over the speed bump to go to my high school, I broke the windshield right down the middle. Giant crack, just right up the middle. And I even like scooched it and
So you got to come in at an angle.
yeah, no.
I found that out real fast on Canandaigua Pier because I just started going along and then I was like, this is gonna suck. And I took it straight on and just dragged the exhaust the whole length of it. And I was like, there's got to be an easier way to do this.
But that car blew a head gasket, and unlike yours, it died very quickly.
The thing with the Hondas, you can't kill them. Like my current daily, the 2011 SI, nothing but reliable.
I love those ones though. Like that was the first year where you could actually feel the VTEC kick in. Like you're. That's the first year on any Honda Civic SI that you could actually feel the VTEC engage. It was. I love that K20 that came in that car. It's a fun little car to zip around in.
First test drive on it, I was like, I wonder. Just mad at it. And then I was like, okay, this is fun. I'm sold.
VTEC, yo.
Hindsight, I wish I had bought a truck. I had a full size.
Yeah. They're just so expensive.
I know.
Crazy.
And the ones I do find that are halfway cheap are either junk or they have a 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
And if I'm going full size, I want to be able to tow with it, so I don't want a 4.3. Or
I don't know the new Chevy trucks with the 4.3s. Those things are actually pretty stout.
Yeah.
Like want to say they changed them over in like 2015 was the
Yeah,
first
they're
year.
direct injection now. I
Yeah.
think they make 285 horse.
No, they're making 310.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Yeah, they're pretty stout. Like I have a 14. No, it had to have been 14. They changed over. I have
Yeah,
a 14 with the updated version of the 5.3,
Yeah.
and no, they're when they updated all their truck engines, they got some nut.
The only thing I don't like about them is 8.1 quarts of full synthetic. That gets pricey.
Yep. My 14 Silverado takes 8 quarts of 0W20.
That's
Wiring a plow on
horrifying.
them can be difficult too, depending on where you go.
I-
They're so screwy with how you wire them that everyone ends up having problems with them when they hook them up with the
I'm not
Chevy.
big on the plows on 1500.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it works.
not on a
Our shop
1500.
truck's a 1500
Yeah.
and it plows pretty good, but
but there's always I've known everyone to have some kind of wiring issue somewhere with their Chevy when they're hooking up a plow to it. There's always something, or at least the newer ones, not the older ones. They don't do too well. I mean, it's kind of crazy too because Chevy sells the Alaskan, which they did it as a plow truck, and that thing has wiring issues. Like,
I just don't understand people that put plows on bank-owned trucks.
yeah.
Because it's such like plowing does a
The minute
lot
it
of
says
damage
plow,
to a vehicle.
your frame like twists and
Yeah,
rocks you.
it's-
Like if you you go to resell a vehicle and people find out a plow, they're not going to give you half of what that
Mhm.
fucking thing's
You
worth.
take the plow off and undercoat the whole frame so they're just like, oh yeah, it's clean. They don't have to know that you plowed with it for 5 years.
My
Yeah.
pops and I just picked up an 03 or 04, I don't remember what year it is, Chevy Suburban 2500 with a plow on it for $1,500, and I'm like, it wouldn't
Blind
like-
spots like a
like
mofo.
$1,500. That doesn't even get me like the wiring harness for my Silverado to
Yep.
put a plow on it.
You got some balls if you're plowing in a Suburban, though. I'll tell that to anybody.
Let me tell you, things
It's
got
not
some
fun.
things got some shitty ass tires on it. But fuck, that pushes some snow.
What's the engine that's in it?
6-liter.
Yeah, there
Yeah, that's a
you go. Use all the
Yeah.
fuel in the world, but you'll get there.
Yeah,
pass everything except the gas.
you'll burn through a full tank of gas. On
Like
like
I'm
20 drive
half
around.
tempted to use it on my drift car this season just so I can keep miles off my 14.
Might as well.
Thing's already got like 110 on it now.
You're gonna get crap mileage anyway. You might as well get it in the other car.
I got to give the new 5.3s and the Chevy some credit because if I'm just cruising on the highway on a beautiful summer day, cruise set at like 68, you'll get 26 miles. a
Yeah,
gallon.
they do really
Now, does
good.
that have the active cylinder shut off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have
And
a,
I guess it's the updated version because the
Yeah.
previous ones had like
Yeah.
bad oil consumption
7 to
issues with them.
13, they don't have the correct oil control mechanism in them. That's why I'm trying to buy one, but I'm scared, man.
I've seen a few of them where it'll be like, okay, so 4 cylinders have shut off, and it brings the oil pressure down a bit, and when they come back on, it doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
So I've just seen a few of them around town that are knocking like crazy. Like there was one guy who came in, had something done. We saw the truck on lunch and it was knocking, and we were like, "What did we do to that truck?" And my coworker was like, "I think I did an oil change," and I was like, "It was nice working with you." And it came back later the day and it was throwing the code for that, and it's like, "Oh, so it's nothing we did."
Good. Yeah, because you take one of the best V8 engines ever made, and you put that crap on it.
Yeah.
It's like-
There's a kit to delete it.
I know there
Yeah,
is,
all the
but
time.
you don't know if the damage has already been done unless they let you like use a bore scope in the cylinder. We're gonna look at you real weird if you ask that.
Hey, you mind if I just pull some spark plugs out real quick?
You wanna get your camera over here and look in there? 'Cause I've read the service bulletins, but apparently all you have to do is dissolve it. But if your lifter is already collapsed, you're screwed. So it's like it's such a small interference fit, and if it's cracked, you've got to get a new block basically.
Ooh, that would get pricey.
It's like 100,000th tolerance. No. Well, if Chevy watches this, fix that. Now buy a new
Figure out your wiring for snowplows.
one.
I got no complaints with my truck.
That being said, I have an 84 that's just great.
Can't go wrong with the 80s. TBI or carbureted.
Carbureted. 84 is last year if everyone had a carburetor. There were some with it. Mine was also the first 700R4 truck, which broke immediately. So it's a turbo 50 now.
I don't understand like what compelled General Motors to go to throttle body injection.
I don't know. TBI was terrible though. I've seen so many people rip it off and just throw a carburetor on it.
It works though better than Chrysler fuel injection or Ford's pretty good in my experience. Maybe it's the Duraspark.
Never know. So, how'd you find out about the Gambler?
Oh, let's see. It was either the early stages of winter for 2016 or just turned over to 2017. But I was just scrolling on Facebook and just happened to stumble across it. And at that point, it only had like 20 members on the page. There wasn't anybody in there yet. So I was like, oh shit, this is that thing they do in Oregon. I was like, I'm going to get myself in on this. So I messaged a couple of buddies, and they were like, yeah, okay. And so I just, monitored the page slowly and slowly over time, and then Kevin posted up one of the first posts, like, hey, I want people to sign up for this, tell me, I signed up for it as soon as I saw it, and when he said we were accepted, I was fucking stoked. I messaged my buddies, and my one buddy who was like, dude, do you have any idea what this means? I was like, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. Come to find out it was fucking terrible.
Oh, it is, but that's part of the charm.
Yeah.
It was the most mixed feelings I've ever had during something.
My first Gambler, we got way too drunk on the party bus. You remember that? We were
Yeah.
driving around camp and all those drunk people hanging out.
Just doing hot laps around base camp.
Yeah, with
I'm
the-
like crouched on the steps. Everyone's like just falling out of the bus. There's so many of them.
I don't know. It was a guy I'd never seen before, never will see again. But he had this huge bottle of vodka. He was just, but he was happy. So I'm like, okay, man.
Could have been with
He
the
had a whole
HHR
bottle of
team.
vodka in his hand. Of
No,
course he was
no,
happy.
Because I mean, they did have the kiddie pool full alcohol, which I
No,
think is
I
the
was
most
part.
innovative
I was
thing
part
I've
of
ever
that
seen.
team at that point. He wasn't. He
Oh.
was some other team. But so my first morning of Gambler, we were hungover and we forgot to eat because we were trying to fix something. So, you know how you get stirred around
Yeah.
when you're driving, especially in a school bus with all the seats taken out. Well, cut to us puking out the side of the bus driving through the Adirondacks. Oh, that was bad at the time, but it's funny now.
The first Gambler for me would have been so much better if we weren't rolling 4 deep in a lifted Nissan Sentra with 29s.
God, even
Yeah.
with like 2 people in the back seat, there's still no room for
Dude,
him.
we were to the wood anywhere's where we went. And then I want to say checkpoint 3 or 4 on the first day, the exhaust broke right at the manifold. So we were open header all the way until mid of the second day where we finally stopped at an advanced auto and bought parts to fix
You guys
it.
are probably fuming yourselves out in there too.
Yeah.
We were miserable. And, and then later on in the first day, the strut towers broke off.
Yep.
And then the rear beam fell off. Like the rear panhard bar fell off the rear beam. And dude, that thing was such a pile of garbage. I wouldn't change a damn thing though.
Yep.
Except make it faster.
That's
Turbo.
everybody's issue. Just make it faster. They
Yeah.
can't with my truck though, because it's a Toyota in their infinite wisdom in the 80s. The airbox was your mass airflow sensor,
Yeah.
and there's literally no way to bypass it. So if I want to do a snorkel, I have to include the airbox, try to seal that, and not get the wiring
So,
destroyed.
fun fact about that, we're prepping 2000-something Volkswagen Passat wagon for the spring, and that's the same situation, but the airflow comes in through the grill, and there's a plastic piece to divert it, and there's this thing that looks like it came off with a vacuum cleaner, and it goes from square to rectangle, curves around, and then down in. So what I'm doing is I'm 3D printing a piece to match that curvature but backwards, so that the vacuum cleaner will be pointing out towards the fender, so that way we can just cut a hole in the hood and then run the thing like that, because if you take that off, it will not run.
I lucked out for the Adirondack Spring event when I did that Volvo 940. apparently they don't need mass airflows or O2 sensors to run.
Sweet.
So I was able to, I disconnected all of that, and it was actually running better. Like when I got it, the thing ran like shit, disconnected the MAF and the O2 and put it into a closed loop. The thing ran mint. So I was just like, alright, I'm going to make a stupid ass snorkel now that I don't have to MAF and just do right out the hood. Right out the hood, right up the A-pillar.
Yep, that's what we're gonna
I
do.
kind of want to do a Volvo. They seem like they're fun.
Yeah.
I gotta give credit when credit is due. I mean, they're still god awful slow.
Yeah.
But
Nick has proven them to be pretty hardy. I would say the stuff that he's thrown at it, and then like it just, and he's got his Subarus too, and he, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure he was a Subaru guy. Now it seems like he's a Volvo guy.
No, he's still a Subaru guy. The Volvo is just a reliable.
It's his
Subaru.
hobby.
Even though he ate a tree 2 days before the game.
Like I didn't really think much of Volvos at all, if anything, before that, and then I saw him in like videos and stuff that he did, and I mean,
I'm surprised he sent it to the death track.
yeah, like
'Cause I was like, we basically built that at the shop that he used to work at.
he's definitely a hold my beer and send it. I would say.
I gotta give Volvo credit when credit is due. Like
You can't kill him.
the only things that went wrong with our 940 during the Adirondack one was things that I knew I should have taken care of. Like I should have put limiting straps on the rear diff so the rear springs couldn't fall out for when I lifted it. My bad. And I should have, actually fastened the battery to the car so it couldn't fall out and
What?
fall out and start
Bounce around.
grounding against the fender and
You
burning
don't
the
need
paint off the
that.
fender. Those were the only two things that went wrong during the whole Adirondack event that I knew, like, the whole time towing it there, because we tow our cars, except for the frozen nuts. That was a mistake.
Yeah, it was.
The whole time I was just going, I should have built limiting straps. And everyone was telling me the whole time building the car, oh, you should build limiting straps. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And the only reason why the spring fell off is because I was getting impatient waiting at a checkpoint and started fucking around. And there was like a rock wall next to me, and I'm like, I'm a fucking rock climb. Yeah. 5 seconds in, the spring fell out.
One reason why I blew my brakes on my Subaru. Rock climbing with the Subaru. doesn't like going down too well. It was fun getting back down the rest of the hill though. It was a 5-speed, so it was just like first gear, like clutch, 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 clutch. The e-brake. I've never owned a car that had an e-brake, so I mean, they're there, but they're not.
I was pissed. The e-brake worked on the 240 all the way up until frozen nuts, and then when I got the car inspected, my buddy went to test it and the cable snapped. And I was like, fuck. That thing was so much fun, and like the whole time during frozen nuts, I was like, man, I wish the handbrake worked. And he was next to me, the one that broke it. And I was just like, man, I wish this handbrake worked the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually found out I didn't have a handbrake with the Subaru the first time after I was like, this was like when I had like 140,000 or something like that on it. And then this was like the third time the brakes blew on it. I don't know why it was the first time I ever reached for the e-brake with the brakes blowing, but I went for it and it was just
Wow.
fuck, ripping through it, and I horn blew a red light, and then I ripped into the parking lot and I was just downshifted as fast and as hard as I could to get the car to stop. But I beat the. I mean, when they say it's what makes a Subaru, like they are pretty damn indestructible. Like I was telling them before you got here, I jumped that thing I don't know how many times, and it drove me back home after, and it was a stock 01 Legacy Outback. Like they are very hardy cars if you feel like throwing shit at them.
Start the live video for the group.
Fun fact: 60,000 safety wire works great as an e-brake cable.
That's a good.
I'm intrigued. Do tell.
So my Spitfire, it rusted the cable probably 2/3 of the way back through, and the cable's about this long because the car's so small. And a new one was like $70, I think. So for aircraft mechanics, shit, we'll just safety wire. It's stronger and thicker than the original cable. And that's how it's been for 10 years.
Nice.
So,
Was this going up on the Facebook page?
Yeah, if I can get my phone to stand up.
When I got the when I went after the brakes blew with the Subaru and the e-brake, I actually had the e-brake replaced with the brakes, and then while I was driving, and I put it on a hill, when I hit the e-brake, it fell out the bottom of the car.
That's actually
And
kind of
then-
impressive.
And the way I had it, and so my e-brake was a wheel chock that I kept on a rope, so when I'd pull up, I'd go, whew, open my door and whip it out under the front wheel, and it would catch, and I would, yeah.
That's what I gotta do with my
If
truck.
it didn't catch, you just give it a little gas and try again, you know, keep going until the car catches.
I didn't know if the parking brake worked on the truck, so I inspected it and then pulled it and it didn't do anything, so I just kind of cut the cable and I was like, I don't need that randomly catching on me. So
Going to the Gambler page, see if it's up.
that way we can. They said it was
Live from the podcast.
Oh, here we are.
You should do picture in a picture in a picture in a picture.
It's only you.
It's only showing me.
Well, yeah, because
Oh,
it won't go into
widescreen.
landscape and it's literally just.
We're gonna have to cuddle for warmth.
I sound like I'm like 12 on camera.
Meanwhile,
Man, that delay.
yeah, it's impressive. Yeah,
So
so,
someone want to pull it up so we can actually like have the audio off and see who's commenting
Yeah,
and
how
whatnot.
it's going.
'Cause it's supposed to be live questioning.
prepare for the Jeep hate.
Live questions.
No, they didn't see that part.
Yeah,
They didn't see that part, so you're safe.
Oh.
they're gonna have to wait
Until-
for Jeep
Yeah.
hate to the actual thing post.
Well, here's
tomorrow
my-
at some
here's
point.
my- I
Episode
thought,
2,
though,
Jeep hate.
Everyone knows that the Jeep Liberty is a Fiat. It's more akin to the Fiat Panda than it is to an M38.
Well,
Really?
the new Jeep Renegade is basically a Fiat 500 that put on some weight.
Yeah, and some all-wheel drive.
Every time one comes in, I pop hood and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I'm working on a
I
Fiat today.
swear I saw a Fiat Panda, like a late 80s, early 90s one driving
Yeah.
down the road in Henrietta last week. I
Wow.
swear. Like, I was looking, I was like, what the hell is that? And it said Panda on it. I didn't see any other, but I saw Panda, and it was white.
I saw a lot of Neva in Geneva one time.
I saw a lot of.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to do a team for the Gambler
I think-
of all Ladas and just do
Yeah.
Russian like the tracksuits they
I
wear.
think they're going to walk-ins. I'm
Adidas,
not sure.
Adidas suits. Need some gold chains too, and then, like, just enough of your shirt to show some of your chest there.
From Russia without war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got 5 people viewing. No, 4 people.
Oh.
I'm assuming one of them was me.
I used to work for the Crazy Russian dude for a very short amount of time before I quit, so I didn't die. But he was legit from Ukraine, Gulag, escaped the Gulag, the whole thing. It was
That's
pretty
awesome.
good. If you ever have our friend Eric from Long Island on the podcast, he'll tell you some stories about Yuri Man.
That's like the most Russian name you can imagine. Just Yuri.
And he talked like, I am Yuri Man! It was great. He was every stereotype, but like 20 times better than you thought. He was a great dude.
I was working at McDonald's, and I had a friend move over here from Czechoslovakia, and
Can you say that again?
Czechoslovakia. Yeah, I kind of screwed it up a little bit. And I was working at McDonald's at the time. I was like 20 years old, and he didn't speak a word of
Stand that
English.
up on.
So I took it upon myself to teach him how to
Don't say it.
swear.
You'll piss it off.
It worked out really
Oh,
well.
Tyler's watching.
Hi,
Oh,
Tyler.
hey, Tyler.
Probably a delay, so you'll get that in a few minutes.
Oh, beer
Oh.
down.
It's empty.
It's empty.
Okay.
No foul.
Otherwise, that would
No
be alcohol
foul.
abuse. Oh,
The flag has been withdrawn.
I'm still mad that someone ditched beer cans right after we left Frozen Nuts. They just threw 2
Oh.
or 3 beer cans out of the convoy. It had to be us because they weren't covered in snow.
I'm an avid outdoorsman, and if I see people littering, I rage on them so hard.
Yeah.
Like, I'll pick up their trash and throw it at them, and then tell them to take it.
Like 50% of gambling is not littering.
Yeah.
We're making it better.
Like, you have to respect where you're going, otherwise
We
you're
might-
gonna lose the ability
We
to
might
use
leave
it.
fluids, but we won't leave trash.
That's like,
And because of that, we got lost from the group and we missed the huge Hammond Hill, you know? The whole
that was
never forget business.
But spring day 1, when we got lost in that first checkpoint,
Yeah.
where it was kind of a like. A few
Yeah.
people went down, then turned back. We kept going. And ended up tracking around some dude's property for like 2 hours. Sorry if you end up seeing this. But
Been there, done that.
we ended up like 2 hours behind everybody else. And there was a steady stream of Miller Lite cans on the side of the road. Like every quarter mile, there was a Miller can. And it's like, I feel like we're on the right road, but that's terrible at the same time.
The only time we unintentionally littered during a gambler is when the exhaust got ripped off during Frozen Nuts.
That'll
And we were
decompose though.
we only were able to reacquire the muffler. The rest, like the mid pipe, just
Yep.
poofed.
I picked up 3 whole exhaust systems.
Whoever ended up picking up Nick's exhaust, I welded ABG on it. And the popcorn weld, because I can't really weld, that just kind of broke off. So somebody found a tip that said ABG at some point in the trails.
See, I was smart when we were doing the Volvo. Is I welded 100%. Like I found like 20 feet of fence post, and I welded straight from the manifold. Like the manifold and downpipe were all like one piece. So I welded straight to that, all the way up over the diff and up and out. So I had a true one-piece exhaust. So I was like, well, if it breaks, it's breaking at the manifold. It's busting it right off the block, and at that point, you're sending her home.
Nick had a pretty cool exhaust when we first finished that car, because it was.
The tip was huge. I remember when you guys came to. That was actually the first time I hung out with you and him. I actually ironically found out about the Gambler through this guy on the Finger FLX Crew automotive car page. He was posting about it last winter, and then that's how I actually got involved with it. But I saw when you and Nick came that one day. It was like I could fit my head in it if I wanted to. It was huge.
My buddy's dad put a new exhaust on his Duramax, so his old
Oh.
5-inch one was chilling out in front of their shop, and I was like, "What are you doing with that?" He's like, "I think it's going to scrap," and I was like, "I need that for a turbo Volvo." And he just kind of looked at me, and I was like, "You'll get it when you see it." And then, long story short, we took a piece of chimney pipe actually, and went from the stock size on the Volvo up to 5-inch. So it wouldn't have come off, but I don't know why we took it off, but it was awesome.
That was
It's just like, oh, the 940. Wait, what the hell? Just out the back.
What is that?
The infamous Cup was also there for the show, the car show also. So the Volvo was parked at a car show with a bunch of like slammed over cambered cars, and then Nick's Volvo with the giant tip ABG painted on it and the plastic Solo Cup in the hole in the floor.
That actually ended up there. Funny story. We went to the Log Cabin, which is a little car show that they
Not
do.
necessarily little. There's like 300 cars there sometimes.
Some weeks they're at capacity, other weeks there's 20 people. that
Yeah.
show up. But there's everything from like, there's one guy that shows up with a Unimog once in a while, usually a deuce and a half.
Last year was like a Maserati. They had a Fisker.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
Lambos,
Yeah.
Nobles, everything.
Bunch
Ferrari,
of
every week
rich
there's
white
Ferraris.
people.
A few old 8086s, which are gorgeous.
Oh
And
yeah,
then-
Yeah.
that yellow one. That yellow one that says Trueno on it.
Oh,
I have pictures of that. I'll post it in the comments on there.
Dude, it's a nice car. But there's all these like nice slam cars. Nick's falling apart Volvo that was pissing gas the whole way up. My mud covered truck, and then more nice slam cars. And I think we broke more necks than everybody else. It was a good time.
I actually have a picture too of you and Nick sitting on
Yeah.
your Gamblers, and there's a overlifted F-150 glitz and glammed out Pavement Princess with Lambo doors in the background with
Lambo
these guys
doors,
sitting on their
40s,
cars.
we're both
I'll
just
post
sitting
that.
there like, yeah.
I'll try to find that and put that in the comments too.
That was my banner pick for a while. But it was just kind of a nice FU, like,
Yeah,
those
like,
40s
yeah.
have never seen mud.
Yeah.
There was one time we were up there,
Your
it started
cars are
raining,
more
and dude
capable
was just
than anything
panicking,
ever.
like, wiping his truck off, and it's like,
He'd probably flip it if he went anywhere. That thing was way too high. Like you needed like a full on like not a step ladder, like a full like 4-foot ladder to get into this thing. It was ridiculous.
it's clean.
It was clean, Pavement Princess. What fun's that though? What fun is that?
Oh, he's vibrating.
Oh, shit. It's funny, though. I like going to the car shows when I
I'm-
have...
Every Wednesday I'm at the cabin.
Oh, wait, hold on. My brother.
All right. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
I guess we can Keep talking about stuff and junk.
Cars, beer.
Because they're about to see a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it went back to live. Can you check and see if it went back to live? Should have seen the looks we got.
Hip hip.
Oh yeah, it's still live because Tyler said you should have seen the looks at Syracuse Nationals.
Oh,
I wanted to go, but I don't remember what came up that weekend, but something did. Oh well, I'll call my brother back after this.
Wasn't one of the gamblers near that time? So I remember coming back from something in my gambler and seeing a crap ton of Syracuse National style cars in the freeway.
I don't know.
All I know is this year we're planning a takeover at Street Scene
Uh,
because it's just all lowered little cars, and it's gonna be a bunch of us just interrupting.
I don't know how old you guys are, but do you remember when Nopi used to go to Geneseo and run their Nopi Tuner Vision out there?
No.
Nope.
It's basically it
I
was
mean, I've
basically
also
like.
been in the area for 9 years.
Oh, okay. Well, this was probably like 15 years ago, 16 years ago. Nopi Tuner Vision. It was basically like Street Scene. It's exactly like Street Scene, except they'd actually put cars, like fully modified cars, on the quarter mile track and rip them down
So
there.
kind of like Race Wars.
Yeah, like they had like, but it was like they had like Top Fuel. They had
Oh,
like
wow.
any car you could imagine down there. There were cars running, 5, 6, like full on like race cars, and then they had a bunch of other kids out there. But that was the last thing I can think of up in upstate New York that there's ever been like a big car show. I can't, unless you go to Syracuse for the Nationals. But then Syracuse Nationals is also like hot rods, and it's not really like
And it
a
has to
tuner
be
scene.
85 and older to get in.
Yeah, it's not as.
brought it up that high?
I think it's. I want to say it's 85 because I know my truck missed it by a few years, and the Camaro misses it by 2.
Yeah.
That's a long story.
And
Anybody
you're
need-
vibrating again. And we've lost.
Yeah.
We've
Anybody
lost
that,
liveness.
Anybody that needs Camaro parts before I send this thing to the junkyard, hit me up.
What year is it? I have someone.
Hello?
For South
So-
Camaro parts.
Yeah.
Parts only. Someone should gamble it.
Yes.
So, what's your guys' favorite gambler story? Or it doesn't necessarily have to be what you were involved with, but just something that was the most enjoyable part of being at the gambler. For
I don't
you
know.
guys.
Well, I guess honestly, it's Jacob Leach's Jeeps knocking away for the last 2.5 gamblers and still going.
Yeah.
I mean, that just brings so much joy to my heart
I know.
that he's just knocking on heaven's door and still making checkpoints
Somehow. I don't know.
with his
Like his
2 psi of oil pressure.
I wonder if his gauges are just destroyed.
Nah, I think that
I've
4
seen a
liter is just
couple-
sad.
Oh,
He walked out that way, answered the phone. Apparently, his brother or something. And
I've
no,
seen-
he says gauges are 100% accurate, and by the sound of the engine, I think he's correct.
How long will this bearing clearance last?
I mean, I tried hooking him up with a sponsorship with Lucas, but no matter how many times I tagged them in Marvel Mystery Oil, they still never respond.
Why do you run for lubricant? Well, 50-50, Lucas and Marvel.
I just pour in maple syrup and molasses.
We on airplanes, they're constantly putting cams to flatness because the newer oils didn't have enough zinc for a while. So we use something called Cam Guard, which is amazing. Like, it is just perfect for any cam that's ripped, I like to call, or marked or in any way. I don't know what it is. It's really thin, but it freaking works.
For that,
Yeah, there you go. It's expensive though.
Jake, you should get some of that.
Yeah. But we'd always put it in planes with a new can because the new airplane can can be like $600 for a stock replacement.
There we go. Now, my brother was asking about the downpipe versus Mazda speed. I feel like that angle's way too high.
Yes.
So,
We're
what's your
in the
favorite gambler
past.
story?
Huh, my favorite gambler story? I don't know, there's a lot of them. Let's see. I don't know, driving the bus around on the AIS NASCAR banked oval was pretty great. and we had all of our weight on the wrong side, so the bus
Oh,
wanted to tip
man.
so badly.
Like you're just sitting there, you're
man.
like, oh, this thing's going over.
I hope we don't go over. And we accidentally lapped the pace truck.
I remember that.
But he was all for it. He was like, yeah, go.
He was like, short bus, you can go as fast as you
that
want.
thing can do 85 miles an hour still.
Will Smith actually has a line in Bad Boys that is, for me, it's the most gambling line in the world, and it's when he jumps his Ferrari, he lands, and he goes, "Woo! That what made my butthole pucker." That seems like that would be one of those moments where
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going around like, "Oh shit!
Turn it-
Butthole pucker!"
Turn
Oh,
this
shit.
way, and the whole bus is just like, oh boy.
That was
I
funny.
think we all piled on the wrong side on purpose.
No, it's because the seats are all not wrong side.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, I need to completely redo the interior of that.
You don't. It's fine the way it is.
It's completely unusable.
It's a death trap. It's fun.
I meant so that we can get actual beds in there, or because they took the seats off, but not the metal stands, so you can't put anything in there. You just get stabbed.
Chains from the ceiling, and then just hang boards from the chains
Yep.
in between. That way, they'll swing and whatnot. So you're not gonna, you don't have anything ripping out or hurting anything.
So in the back, there's this random lazy boy style armchair.
I remember
And it's
that.
not attached to the floor whatsoever.
You should put it on wheels and have someone sit in it with a helmet.
Well, they need it, yeah, because it goes up almost to the ceiling
Oh,
every time
God.
you hit a big bump.
Oh, and it sits in the back.
Yeah,
Oh.
right over the axle,
Oh.
or actually behind the axle, so it goes.
We were talking about, like, after the Adirondack Spring one, we were talking about in our little group chat, we were like, we should just get a bus and put a hot tub in it. Put some sort of, like, pool of water inside of it.
I don't know.
You'd have to cut part of the roof off though, so that the hot tub was exposed.
Yes,
to the, like,
that was the
like
goal.
like a UTE or something like that, or whatever. But, just do it out back.
That's like all the ones. There was a couple of them that were shared down in New Jersey that were like $1,200 for the full size bus. Cut part of the back off and put like a full on pool back there.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Water is very heavy,
Oh, I know.
and that would make you
One of those
incredibly
old, like-
unstable.
Oh,
Yeah,
Just
that's
for-
the point.
Like, I know it'd be dumb, but just bring it just for cruising around base camp.
I was
Just
driving.
do laps in the pool
You
while
know-
doing
I
laps.
was
know-
driving a
base
you
van
know
full
what
of
we could
chlorine
do?
today. Liquid is not fun.
Well,
Especially with what I was telling you, it was so windy that I'd revert the van back, and then the liquid would cause the ass of the van to shake. Like, it was not fun. It's
What-
not fun.
What you could do is drive it dry to base camp and then get a
Yeah.
water delivery. The water's pretty cheap if you buy it in bulk.
Yeah.
Usually you buy it for $1 a gallon.
Have the fire department.
Yeah,
come forward.
helicopter.
Yeah. And then take a while to heat it up. I don't know how we'd heat it, but
Just run the exhaust up through it.
the only problem would be there'd be a lot of dudes in there.
Yeah.
A lot of sweaty butts.
Yeah, that'd be one crazy sausage party.
Hell yeah.
What gambler isn't it?
Yeah, really.
But anyway,
How about you? What's your favorite gambling moment?
I don't know. Watching the big ass 7.3 Power Stroke get towed up a mountain by a Hyundai at Frozen Nuts was pretty fun. Because 35s rather than 4-wheel drive, and every patch of ice just sitting still.
yeah,
Got to the point where we hooked up the Mud Cricket, that goofy green Hyundai,
that thing.
and dragged him the
That thing's
whole way up the
badass.
hill. I know.
That's badass. I want that. I'm so I've been watching him build it on the site, and I am so envious of that thing. It's for a Hyundai. It's killer. I would think.
Yeah.
It's definitely a cool ride.
Because my team, Jeep Hyundai, had one originally, but
They
it
got a
was
Hyundai?
but it was 2-wheel drive, so it was good, but it was not nearly as good as the Mud Cricket.
There's parts of Hyundai on the Mud Cricket.
Yeah, I
Eric
know.
was telling us about it
Yeah,
last
he
time.
just wandered over because we were stripping the Hyundai there. That was good. That's one of the exhausts I picked up because they ripped their entire exhaust off at one point, strapped to the roof rack of the Jeep. That was good.
I didn't find any Game Boy parts out in the trails.
No?
It kind of sucked.
Usually the person right behind them grabs it, so
Yeah.
kind
Oh, I mean, I had a chance to grab a full Bronco if I could have pulled it out of the mud
I
pit.
know. I'm still a little bit sad about that.
Oh, I know.
We kind of cheated. Parts that we were finding during the Adirondack Spring Gambler were coming from Side Dick, that red Suzuki Sidekick that
Yep.
was in front of us. They were with our group until they decided to go off on their own, and then didn't get back until like 11
Yep.
p.m. midnight because they got buried on a death track alone and broke the car in half. But we were falling behind them, and that's how we got our points for like part reconnaissance.
Yeah. But, hey, our lag is lessened.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, it's only a minute
Nobody's
behind,
asking
so-
any questions, though. I don't think anybody gives a shit.
Yeah, probably not.
What's gonna happen is there's gonna be like a bunch of questions after it gets posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna finish the live, and they're gonna be like, "Oh,
Oh,
just a fucking list of questions," and
Yeah.
it's gonna be like, "Come on, guys."
watch
Well,
it.
as soon as the full video gets posted, they're going after your throat
I know.
for your.
Yeah,
Like,
that's alright.
Like, if I was in the same room with you, I would be behind the keyboard right now talking so much shit to you. But I'm in the same room, and I'm kind of a pussy, so.
Yeah.
Episode 2, Marshall hates Jeeps.
I like almost all Jeeps except.
His favorite Jeep is a Jeep Liberty.
No, it's just that this particular Jeep Grand Cherokee was so bad.
I don't
So
know.
bad.
Captain's Renegade did pretty good. The one that was trying to tow the Suburban out of the death trap, that little Liberty did pretty good. He just took it to backcountry four-wheelers big event,
Yeah.
and it tore through that pretty good.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I would definitely do the Liberty. I would definitely do a Liberty if I had a chance.
Yeah. It's just. I think it's called the WJ Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's just not good. I don't know why.
Is that the one right after the XJ?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Remember?
Yeah. They're kind of
on-
ugly.
Yeah. Well, no, not that one. It's the one right after that one. You know,
The headlights were like
yeah.
they were rectangles.
Yeah, they
like,
almost
angled back a little bit.
had TJ headlights.
Yeah.
But this one is a 2001, so it's
It was like the body was rounder, kind
yeah,
of like an
it was.
oval.
And the entire thing was ringed in plastic. It was weird.
Mhm.
But that was just a abysmal vehicle. One time I took it to go look at a Mercedes-Benz W123 diesel. It was great, but it was on a sheep farm in Macedon, and the road it was down was maintained only for oil rig trucks because there was a natural gas well back there.
Yeah.
So there were potholes that were probably this big and this deep, and that Jeep got stuck probably 4 or 5 times in less than half a mile with good 33-inch all-terrains on it.
Wow.
And we get there, and of course there's no battery in it, so we take the battery out of the guy's truck and put it in there, and we just go down the same track that this Jeep got stuck on 4 or 5 times in a $400, 350,000 mile Mercedes-Benz with no problem.
Probably will
On
what that
normal-
half the round.
Yep, normal tires. Did not have a problem. But this Jeep was awful.
Spinning.
I
all
don't
over
get
the
it.
place.
The XJ is great. The
XJs are
one right after that's pretty good. This one, terrible. The next one after that, perfect. I just don't get it. But
I wouldn't mind doing a Jeep road, but everybody does them.
I know. It's
See, the whole
kinda
point of the
cheating.
Gambler for me is to just be different. Like, the whole point of, like, the Gambler 500 is vehicles that aren't supposed to be doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
That's why I was gonna build the Camaro, but it doesn't have a title. Or
wow, I mean, the first Gambler, the first OG Gambler, there was that dude in that purple Chevy Silverado that didn't have a title, didn't have registration, didn't have insurance, and the frame broke in half.
Trying not
And he
to get
did the
arrested.
whole entire event.
Well, no, the Camaro I got, I literally helped my father-in-law strip tin off of an old trailer, and he's like, "Okay, that Camaro's yours. It's literally just a shell. No driveline, no axles, no front sub, nothing."
Well,
So I was like, "All right, I might put it on a K5 chassis." He's built a half a dozen of them like that, and I was like, "All right, that seems like a good plan." I found one down the road. It's spotless, but it's already sold. So I was gonna put it on that with 35s, 350 small block, zoomies up through the hood, and send it. But then I was like, wait a second, there's no title.
Couldn't you take the title? I mean, it's just the body of the camera. Couldn't you use the title off the truck?
There was
Ugh.
So I mean, I could try to talk to a junkyard and be like, let me
Salvage VIN number.
get a title and a dashboard out of
Does
a
it-
Camaro. I'll throw you some money. You look the other way.
does it still have a VIN?
Yeah.
well, just
okay. It's a
for-
long story.
for legality purposes.
Yeah.
Because there's legal ways to. Like
I
I've
got-
done the abandoned car route a couple times.
I got
New York
told
State just wants the money.
the official story behind the Camaro.
Too hot to handle.
Not really. It's allegedly been crushed.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you
You
don't
can't
call
put it
that.
on the books if it's off the books.
Dude's girlfriend owned it. They split. He got the car. He was supposed to give her $1,800. Gave her $1,000. She was like, "I want the rest of the money. I'm holding on to the title." And he stripped it and was gonna make a mud vehicle out of it. Told her he crushed it, and she was like, "Whatever." So I'm thinking the title's probably in the bottom of the landfill by now. So
Yeah. And
She
if, they,
might still have the title.
and if they send her a letter, she's going to be like, that vehicle was stolen.
she's gonna be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's stolen." And then they're gonna show up here and be like, "Where'd you get it?" And then I don't feel like throwing my father-in-law under the bus because I'm terrified. You don't fuck with a tow truck operator.
And if that lady's watching this, he doesn't have your Camaro.
I do not have your car. I haven't taken delivery yet.
All right, we're gonna have to swap to somebody else's phone. I'm down to 12%.
Excellent.
On
What
it.
kind of phone you on?
Android.
I
I
got
got
you.
mine.
If the cord will reach that far.
Well, I got my charger in my truck, but we'll just swap to him for the time being.
Yeah. No, I agree with you that XJs are kind of cheating.
I think honestly,
Honestly,
anything that's
my-
4-wheel drive and not shitty.
My
like,
truck is cheating.
Yeah, but
Because, 31-inch mud terrains on 89 Toyota that's
Yeah.
4-wheel drive with 410 gearing, it's going to get through pretty much
yeah.
anything.
And at least the Jeeps have the possibility of Chrysler just breaking.
Well, I mean, Toyotas have bad frames.
That's true.
I mean, that frame only has 90K on it. It's spotless.
Yeah, and they will just crumple in an accident if you're not careful if they're rusty.
I mean, I've already got a bent frame.
When it comes to every single time we put it to a vote, like at whatever event we're at, and it's like, all right, who do you think harnessed the spirit of the gambler? I will always vote against the 4-wheel drive guys, unless it's like a shitty, clapped out 4-wheel drive,
like Jeepalo.
like no, because that thing started off like decent, and now it's just
Now it's just a running joke.
now it's just tired.
A little
And
bit.
no, like Mud Cricket,
Yeah.
that harnessed spirit of the gambler. A guy
Oh.
showing up on a fully built like overlanding rig, like no offense, Jason Staples. A guy that shows up on a fully built
Okay.
overlanding
In
rig.
his defense, he bought that out of a ditch. That Jeep that he brought, the big lifted 2-door
Yeah.
XJ, that thing was junk. The
Yeah,
front U
but-
joints were gone, so he ran most of the event with only the rear drive shaft. He was technically on my team. That thing was.
Like, don't get me wrong,
haggard
I know
piece of
Jason.
shit.
I love Jason.
Yeah.
But if you show up with like a built, lifted, big tire overlanding rig,
We weren't a
Don't
mile
go
out of
against
base camp. We're on the side of the road because the leaf spring on it shifted over and hit the tire. So we had to change the rear tires on it because welded diff, you can't run 2 different tires. It's funny though, every corner was just
see, I'm used to it. I well with this in my drift cars.
any kind of low clearance though, that thing was terrible because 35's on top of a giant lifted Jeep. That thing,
I've seen some guys using JB Weld for their diffs, and it's worked out pretty well for them. You just gotta put a ton of JB Weld
I
in there.
saw it was like they did a video.
A Crown Vic.
Yeah, Crown Vic, and the thing held, and I'm like, I mean, I still wouldn't do it. I have a welder, but
Oh yeah, if you got a welder, there's no point with the
I'm
JB.
still like, man, when that breaks, because it could break, because 500 miles is a long time. They just did some burnouts. 500 miles off road, or 500 miles to Tyler is like 900 miles.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if I would put
Trust it, yeah.
faith in that.
And JB,
because
well,
if that starts coming
if-
apart, it then goes back in and breaks other shit.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it could clog your spiders up completely, or something else.
Who knows?
But there have to be some people in 4-wheel drives to get the really ridiculous crap out.
Oh yeah.
Like,
That's like,
like in the fall, one of my team members winched the Monte Carlo back up over the edge of a pretty much small cliff because the skid plate got just high centered.
I don't know. If you come prepared, you can get yourself out of any situation, because the Sentra during the OG Gambler, we got lost in a maple syrup farm and ended up nose down in a ditch. It's that picture that everyone shared for a while of the road closed sign behind it. We were nose down in that ditch. No possible way to get out. But then we remembered we brought like a 2,500-pound ATV winch, tied it to a tree, and we winched that cocksucker out with jumper cables to the battery
Yeah.
without any issues. And we were doing everything. We were like messaging Facebook page on the CB, like asking people for help and nothing. And then finally hit us. It's like, we packed a shitty winch.
Come-alongs work nice too.
That's
If you
true.
bring some chain with you, you get a come-along and some decent chain.
I don't
Those
remember
will
who,
tow you pretty well.
but I saw someone trying to tow a car out with 2 come-alongs between one car and the car that was stuck. And I was like, this seems like
yeah.
someone's about to die.
Yeah, that's a little sketchy right there. 2 come-alongs going through that, but I mean, if you're just hooking it up to like a tree or something like that, or just like someone's truck sitting there, they'll pull a good amount out.
Questions or people talking shit?
Nothing really.
I have friends who have seen this video.
Everyone is out
It was
drinking.
600 miles, spring 2018. That's from Tyler, not 900.
No, I was 900. I don't care what you say.
It was 900 with a detour we took day 1.
Yeah, this.
We just did laps around this dude's property trying to get back out of there.
Yeah, I think the most I've ever done was like 380 something miles, and that was in the bus
Ugh.
because we were up just on wine trails for that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you just go down a death track and you just get stuck there the entire
I
day.
know day 2 in the spring, I only got to the death track where the Bronco got stuck. I got out the backside of that, and my whole team was still wedged back in there, and I was like, I don't know how to loop back around. I don't know how to navigate. So I literally put my address back in the GPS, and I was like, I'm gonna call it a day. So I trucked all the way back down here from the Adirondacks. The truck had like inches of mud on it.
Yeah.
I- Every little town I went through, everyone was like, where the hell were you? I still average pretty good mileage though. That
I-
truck is surprising. Like once you get to 55, it doesn't like going 55, but once you get there, it's not bad on gas. I use maybe a half tank coming back down here.
I had a lot of problems with my Subaru whenever I got mudding, because it would just, at least with the thicker mud, you can get back out on the road and then there'd just be some mud all over the car, and the wheels like, it's just, I hated that so
I ran
much.
into
It's
that
just-
until the tires cleared out, and then I was like, oh, this ain't half bad.
it would take forever for the tires to clear out of that thing. And I don't even remember how big they were. I had no, like, they were only like, they were less than a quarter inch away from the tub on the inside. I put the biggest tires I could fit on that thing. I'd hit a bump, you'd hear it hit the plastic on the inside. Ugh. Worst that's gonna happen is just gonna rip them out, and then I've got more space for the tires. So.
We didn't have to worry about that in the Sentra. We only had a top speed of 40.
Sweet.
29's on a 1.8 liter. Apparently don't get along.
That's
Man, yeah,
horrifying.
Already.
you're
With 4 of
gas
us.
just-
Actually, it wasn't that bad on gas. Neither was the Volvo running no MAF and no O2. They've all actually been pretty good on gas. The Nissan, the 240, was actually frustrating because the gas tank leaks if it's over like a quarter of a tank full.
Ugh.
So that
Splashes
was
out.
that was getting frustrating because we were stopping like every 60 miles, and because we also got lost and we're like 2 hours away from everybody.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's funny, we're all sitting up on the hill, waiting for the power stroke to come up, and we're cooking macaroni and cheese on the
Yeah.
engine in the Volvo, and we're just talking. They're like, "Wait a second, what? I just checked Facebook. The 240's lost. You mean lost? Like they got stuck and they're going back to base camp, or no? They're just gone. Nobody knows where they went. Oh, third
Yeah,
party.
we had our GPS set up wrong, but it was like we actually found some pretty dope spots, and I told Kevin about them, like when we made it to our own version of Checkpoint 4. Before I was like, okay, I'm not seeing any goddamn tracks anywhere. I mean, we did leave before everybody, but like we stopped a lot because we had to get gas every
Yeah.
like 5 minutes. But I was getting to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm starting to think we're lost. We were in some pretty dope places, but I don't think these are the correct places because now I'm seeing pictures of everybody else posting up. Like Jacob Leach was posting up every checkpoint he was doing, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think we're correct. And then when we went from incorrect checkpoint 4 to correct checkpoint 4, it was like I don't remember, 40 straight cut miles. Because we had our GPS just one straight line, and I'm like, alright, this is gonna fucking be a while. And we were hauling ass. Like, we were going down some of these dirt roads doing 70, 75, and I'm like, shit's getting sketchy. Like, we were driving up through this one area that was no joke. We were going up a mountain on a cliffside, and like, It was this wide. The 240 was this wide, and I'm like, this is where we die. This is it. We're in the middle of nowheres. We can't tell anyone where we are because we don't know where
Yeah.
we are.
Those are the worst trails when you're like you're not driving watching the road. Your head's out the window and you're just going like this, and you like those are so terrifying. They're fun, but
That's
they're
how
scary.
I was at Frozen Nuts. One of the trails we got onto, there was a cliff on one side and a cliff up the other side, and because it was in the shade, it was all ice. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna be a grandpa here.
Yeah.
Tyler's on my ass in the Silver Sleeper, and I was like, okay, you can just do your thing. Get out to the main road. He comes over the walkie. Hey, your taillight just fell off. Oh, come on. Lights like to fall off that truck. I hit a tree in spring 18 and lost the blinker. I didn't realize I was losing it. And then my co-pilot, I don't even remember the guy's name, but his nickname
that
was
weird dude.
Rambler.
Weird dude.
He was like, I hear something. I was like, I hear it too. And then my blinker goes under my tire and just explodes. And I was like, all right, no blinker for the day. We're good. So I piece that back together because every time I do replace a headlight, if it comes with the whole harness, I save the harness in my toolbox. So I brought like 4 harnesses with me. So I was like, I got a blinker in here. Still haven't properly fixed it. So I just have a bulb zip tied to my front bumper.
Fair enough.
Taillight falls off and down at Frozen Nuts, we literally take like a 24-inch zip tie, hold it vertically, and just go around it. And it's like, all right, let's keep going.
When we were doing the Volvo for the Adirondack Spring Adventure, we tried making it visually look as legal as possible while still being illegal. I bought the car without a driver's headlight and a driver's turn signal. So I hopped on eBay. I found the headlight for like $15, so I shipped the headlight assembly to my house. But I was like, you know, I still have some of the off-road lights from the Sentra. So I took one of the clear off-road lights that was like broken, like the glass was shattered on it, took a piece of clear plastic, spray painted it orange, zip tied it to the front, or self-tapered it to the front bumper, hooked the wires up, and I was like, there we go, we got an off-road light turn signal. I was like, that's as legal as it's gonna get.
You have any fun off-road trail repairs?
Repairs, certainly, but I was going to tell a story about the worst mountain road I've ever been on.
Go for it. I will be right back.
Are you going to a pisser?
Yep.
Tell me where one is when you're back.
Literally out behind the barn.
Yeah, pick
Here,
a
I'll
spot.
I'll take his spot. I'll
It's
take
just-
the captain's chair while you're gone.
It's just 20 acres of cornfield. Ain't nobody peeping.
Yeah.
I mean, they can peep if they want. They're not gonna see anything. I promise.
It's dark out there, too.
Oh, that's why he wants this one. You get the heat. That's why he wants
Back
this
starts
seat.
smoking. A little too warm. Yeah. Yeah, that was a big challenge when Frozen Nuts was so cold. And it wasn't even that bad for winter around here, you know, but still, it was pretty cold.
Did you see my post to the build-up of how I made, like, because that 240 I had no carpet or anything?
Yeah.
My wife made me throw out this like a memory foam mattress. She's like, you need to throw this out. And I was like, actually, you know what? I'm going to make carpet for the 240 and try to insulate this thing. And then I put that down, put floor mats down, put a sleeping bag over the back seat, mainly to keep the gas fumes out of the car, which didn't work.
Minor.
Duct taped any hole I could find because there was no interior in this thing. And actually it worked pretty well because I drove it before the Gambler on a 20-degree day, and it was like easy, like absolutely frigid in there. Like I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of pants, gloves, everything possible, and I was still freezing. Put all that stuff in the car, not half bad. It really wasn't bad. It was actually like comfortable.
Wow. Impressive.
So that's the one God said about the truck, that he only works on high.
Hey, my Jeep, too.
And it's an 89, so I'm not trying to put a blower motor resistor in it.
My Focus, I would always run, like when I had my Focus, I would never run my blowers above 2.
Careful,
The car
it's a
was
sheet
so
of ice out
small,
there.
there was no reason why you needed to.
Make that adventure.
And then one day, I couldn't get my car to defrost, and I go to actually turn it up, and then for some reason 3 and 4 wouldn't work, and I was like, what the hell? I've never used you once. Why aren't you working? It was terrible. I couldn't get the car to defrost. Stupid Ford.
I had my coworker once. He literally held a cup of coffee on his windshield to defrost it, and then he was like, "All right."
You ever heard?
Driving with a towel in my hand.
Yeah. You ever heard stories from some of the older people who used to drive Volkswagen Beetles in the winter?
My dad had one, but he's never talked about
Well,
driving in the
it
winter.
must have sucked
Yeah.
having to know that the engine in the rear.
Yeah, and
Well, your
the
heat coming from the
heat's
back.
supposed to come through the channel in the middle and come back up, but those always rotted out.
So it's like blowing out the bottom
Yeah,
of the
My
car.
mom was telling me she had a Super Beetle,
Yeah,
and
my dad had.
and she had to attach a vacuum hose
Holy Jesus balls
somewhere
that way.
back there.
Oh man.
And,
Yeah, I got wrecked today from it on my elbow. The delivery door. I'm standing there unloading the boxes, and the door from the van just wham, just slammed right on my arm. It was crazy windy earlier today. It's not as bad now. Still windy though.
But so my story about the worst mountain road I've ever been on is I went to Jamaica for work last year sometime for about 10 days on an aluminum mine, and did it there for 10 days working the plant, whatever. And we go back to the Airbnb, Jamaica, you know, and we take a taxi, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'll get you there to the airport." I'm like, okay, whatever way you want to go, man. So
Are you sure you said man? Well, it wasn't mon.
probably, yeah. The accents, you can catch it after 3 days. But he didn't want to take the Chinese superhighway because it would have cost like $6. So he brings us through the old road, which is basically this carved out riverbed that goes from south to north, and it's about a car and a half wide. And that'd be fine if there were just cars, but all the cars are JDM imports because they're right-hand drive, and all the trucks are Max. So you got heavy American trucks, left-hand drive, and all these Japanese cars. And the river wasn't too bad, but then we went up the side of a mountain, and it was probably like a 30% grade, and it was just winding across, and it was all dirt, and
I think we lost the signal.
so
Oh boy.
every curve you went around, you had to beep your horn, and if someone beeped
Rest
their
in peace.
horn, you would have to stop,
We've been at it for
because
a while
otherwise
too.
you would be dead. So
Don't tell me the phone died.
it's great.
It was at 80% when I started. Yep, phone died.
Alright, you want your charger back?
No, it's fine. What do we have for time? Holy shit.
Yeah, we've been at it for probably over an hour.
Yeah, hour and 11 we've been filming.
Woo!
We haven't even gotten through all the questions.
Yeah, I know. I can't even pull up the upcoming upcoming list of events.
I have it saved in my phone just so I can kind of tell people if anybody from the other events end up watching. So I
I
don't
think
know.
the
what-
Until
only
next
thing
week.
missing from your last podcast was what everyone's ideal gambler build would be. Toyota Previa.
Honestly, Dixie on a like D21 chassis or whatever they are, because Dixie was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that was great. I'm so mad I missed the tug of war.
I just want to do a van.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah, vans are awesome. My buddy actually has what I want to do, and he has a Volkswagen Beetle that's on a lifted R32 chassis, and it's turbocharged too. He's got lights, bumper, roof rack, you name it, and it's black Beetle, and for a Beetle, it looks badass. Like I wish that they still made Bajas for how this thing looks. It is so awesome, and I think that's what I would do. Is I would try to find a Volkswagen and swap it out with an all-wheel drive system, and do that. It's an all-wheel drive Volkswagen. They're tiny, they're light, they're unstoppable if you really know what you're doing with them. I think.
Almost like a Wrangler.
Yeah.
I'll say you could just take that and stick it on a Suzuki Samurai chassis.
Yeah, that's actually my build. I have a parts Triumph Spitfire that I want to put on a Suzuki Samurai chassis.
I can ask one of the mechanics I work with. He has a Samurai chassis because I was looking at it to build something goofy.
The wheelbase is perfect for a Spitfire, which is weird because it's tiny.
There you go.
But the only problem would be the dust that you get gambling, but it'd be worth it.
Yeah, see, probably can't see it too well. It's badass though.
Hear that, Battle Beetle? You got competition.
Yeah.
I tried to get him to join the group. I don't know if he did or not. I've been begging him to do it. Like, they need to see this thing in action, man.
The last Volkswagen Beetle I saw at a gambler blew his oil pan out before he even got out of the parking lot. and that was spring 18.
Yep.
Because I remember going by and it's like, oh, Beetle, oh, there's oil under it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we met them coming up at a gas station, and they told us about their whole build. It was like, cool, man.
Yeah.
And oil everywhere later.
Was it the Overdrive team or was it another team?
I don't know. It was the
There,
silver.
there
Beetle,
was two
right?
Beetles up there. The silver one blew out
Yeah.
like before it even got out, and then the other Beetle actually did pretty good from what I've heard.
Yeah. Because they're just a golf
And then
underneath.
apparently in the fall, someone brought a Golf and ripped it apart. on
I
the
saw
tracks.
that. That was great. They ripped the entire control arm mount off, but it was like kind of at the bottom, so it was kind of doing this, and they backed out of the trail.
I just want to keep doing rear-wheel drive vehicles. I think rear-wheel drive is like yeah, the Sentra was funny, but having the rear-wheel drive funness of being able to like
Kick it sideways.
kick it sideways a little
Yeah.
bit with the 240 and the 940 has just been like great, especially in the goddamn blizzard on the way back home.
Yeah.
That
Driving
snowstorm.
home in that blizzard was terrible.
Dude, we did it without power steering. It was bad.
I came up 14A and I swear I almost took out like a dozen horse and buggies. Because
Yeah,
every
right.
time I went to get over near one, it would just start sliding. It's like,
Well, did you guys stay at camp at Frozen Nuts for the night, or did you
No.
guys drive home that
I,
night?
I
we came
drove
back.
down Saturday morning. We weren't 5 miles from here, and the Power Stroke was dead on the side of the road. He literally wedged a screwdriver in the starter relay and it fired back up. Ran better after it broke down. We went down, gambled all day, and then I think I left there about 6:30. Got back here about 8. Just 20 miles an hour the whole way.
It took us because we live 25 minutes north of Syracuse, so it took us like a good 3.5 hours to get home.
Wow.
Like my buddy, who was my navigator, he brought a tow dolly with us just in case. But I opted to drive the 240 there and back, and that drive home was miserable.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
Cause that snowstorm came in like
Yeah, it was
hot
pretty bad.
garbage.
Because everyone was like, make sure you get out of there before dark so you get home at a reasonable time. We're leaving the Death Trek at dark. And it's like, well, I'm not getting home anytime early. Like, I adjusted my headlights the night before, so they were spot on. After banging through the trails all day, this one's up in the trees, and this one's back down like that. And I was like, okay, that's bad.
Oops. Yeah. We broke down just south of Ithaca, so we were probably an hour away, but it took an hour and a half, I think.
Yeah, we broke down in it was right after checkpoint 6 or 7. I don't remember which one it was, but that's when we realized we were spewing fuel out of the back of the 240. And we were like, all right, I was like, Seth, where are we? Find me a parking lot. And he's like, oh, we're near Spencer. And I was like, we're near Spencer. That means we're near where my buddy's shop is in Newfield. So we limped the 240, dropping cylinders, puking fuel. Like my buddy took a video of it. You just hear it like just for the whole drive there,
That's great.
and limped it to my buddy's shop in Newfield. Thank God, because it was great. There was heat, a lift. It was great. We fixed the car and then hauled ass to Ithaca to meet up with everybody.
Yep.
I believe that's most of it. Can't do the upcoming events because my phone died.
Next week.
Yeah, next week we'll cover a couple of them. I don't know if there's any gamblers coming up this weekend.
No, I don't think so.
Because I know last weekend was Cupid's Curse. I didn't see any coverage from that one, so...
Not on the gambler page.
Yeah.
The whole.
I'm
country
interested
page.
in the main one in April.
Maine should be good.
Yeah.
Because
There's a
my
lot of
entire
wild
dad's
up
side of
there.
the family is from Presque Isle.
Yeah.
So, you get to Bangor, you got another 4 hours of fucking 20 miles between exits and trees. Dude, that was the worst drive ever as a kid. Just sit in the car.
Nothing to see, nothing to do.
It's
Yeah.
literally just trees. And I can't sleep on a car ride. I'd have to be awake and watching. So I remember it vividly, just trees. There was one year it was interesting, because two 18-wheelers ended up going across the median and meeting each other head on. So I spent 3 hours just kind of sitting on I-90, walking back and forth on the highway. I was like, this is cool. This will never happen again. That same year on the way home, a minivan burst into flames and shut down the highway. I was like, I don't want to ever do this again.
Speaking of cars that burst into flames on the highway, were you guys around during the first Gambler?
It happened on 390 today. In Rochester.
the guy that caught on fire on the way to the first New York Gambler, and like we didn't think any of it because we took I-90 and we didn't think any of it, and we see this car on the side of the road of I-90 and we're like it was just some piece of shit Chrysler. It was a fucking Gambler car.
Oh,
They burnt down on the way to the event.
that's rough.
Last year I was driving through Buffalo, and I see all this fire department and everything. Brand new Corvette. Nothing left.
Oh.
Nothing left. And then I hit all the car pages, and I'm going through. Apparently, the dude was doing $120, and he blew a fuel line on the inside, and the whole like,
That
just like it was
insurance
like
company's
a
gonna
bomb.
be pissed.
Yeah, like I think he only had it for like a week or something too. Like he just got the car, and then he literally blew it up.
Yep.
Car fires are fun. Not for the people that have them, for everyone else.
Give us
Oh,
something
your
to
car
talk
caught on fire? Shitty, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
Beer, yeah.
You just discovered volunteer firefighting.
Yeah.
Recovery item of the week. Don't use a fucking ball to try to recover someone.
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen videos of those breaking
Or
and they just
rope.
go terminal through the windshield.
Yep.
I saw someone towing someone on 490 with two. They weren't even tow straps. They were like tractor trailer ratchet straps, and they were trying to go down 490, coming around the bend, and obviously the other car wasn't on, so it's got no power steering. So he stays to the right side. The car behind him swings out into the middle lane, and then manages to come back behind him. And then he's going to stop, and then the way they were slowing the car down was letting him hit him, so that they could take the next ramp off. They were letting him hit him. I was like, oh my god, like, only in Rochester.
Be careful what you say about ratchet straps. Ratchet straps are the sole reason why the Sentra was able to complete the first Gambler 500.
I always keep like 6 in the truck. I'm down one though because my coworker is currently using one to hold the door shut on his Gambler Jeep.
Dude, like that's not even a joke. Ratchet straps are the only things that saved that Sentra. Both strut towers broke and were held down with ratchet straps. Like they separated right off the frame rails. When the rear beam fell, or the panhard bar fell off the beam, held that in with ratchet straps. Borderline, pretty much the entire car was just ratchet straps and duct tape by the end of the first Gambler. Like, single most important thing to bring on a Gambler, ratchet straps. 100%. Promise.
I've had a work truck F350 that neither of the doors would shut, so I would take the strap, loop it around underneath, and then crank the door shut and drive. There was one time for some reason it let go, and I'm taking a corner, and my driver door, I'm turning right, and the driver door just goes poof, and I felt like I was gonna fall out of the truck. It was terrifying.
Dude, it was great during the first Gambler in the Sentra. We started off the event, everything was great. You know, slowly through the event, we noticed the doors are getting harder and harder to open to the point where 2 of the doors just wouldn't fucking open anymore. The whole car was toppling. There wasn't any rockers on it. The frame rails were compromised. The towers were compromised. Everything was compromised on this car. It was just starting to topple.
Basically, the roof is what's holding the car together.
So
at this
like the
point.
doors just kept getting like we didn't think anything of it until someone like said something. Hey guys, you notice the doors are getting a little harder to open and close, and it's like, you know what? We've noticed that, but we're just trying to not think about it.
Should have like broke out in like some Dukes of Hazzard lines or something like that and jumped in the window.
I think that's what Seth started doing. I think he just started going out the window.
Nice.
I think that's just about everything on the list.
Yep. I drove around with a ratchet strap pulling the hood of my 92 Corolla down for about 3 months.
I don't think there's a single like DIY guy on this planet that hasn't done that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. If
Ratchet
you,
strapping a hood down?
Yeah, if you haven't ratchet strapped a hood down for any reason whatsoever, are you even a man?
I don't know.
Yeah. Do you even ABG?
This car, a deer put the radiator probably just about an inch from the engine block. So I had to pull everything out, and the latch was just gone.
There's this dude in my hometown that is running ratchet straps on his like Gen 2 Ram, like hood stripes.
Yep.
Like, it's like, man, like, I mean, you're embracing it. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I gotta have a ratchet
He wanted
strap
it
holding
to
my
look
hood
cool.
down. I'm gonna have it look cool at the same time, and he has racing stripes of ratchet strap going down his hood. I'll see if I can take a picture of it sometime, because he lives right in my hometown.
Yeah, those hoods have a tendency to let go.
I actually yesterday I saw a probably like a early '90s. I think it was an early '90s Camry, and it was ratchet strapped, but the hinges were what was broken, and it was ratchet strapped in the front. So he's driving down the road, and the hood's going, and just like flapping in front of his windshield. And I'm driving by, and I got my boss with me, and he's like, "What are you slowing down for?" I was like, "Look at this! This is hilarious!" Like, the dude didn't think to put the ratchet strap where it's broken. Like, that's not doing anything. If his hood pin would have, or the hood latch would have given out, that hood would have went flying down or 390.
One of my first drift cars was an '87 BMW E30, and those have the reverse mounted hoods that open, you know, backwards forward, and the hood latch on it was failed. So it was either like I drilled a hole in the fender and in the hood, and either put like mechanics wire or a zip tie in there to make like a hood pin, because for some reason I was too stupid at the time to go buy a hood pin. But it would be great. I'd be cruising down the road thinking I'm hot shit, doing about 100, 110, and then that piece of zip tie mechanics wire would break, and then the hood just starts doing this. And for some reason I would always be like, oh my god, it's slowed down, but it's like, idiot, it's not gonna fucking go anywhere. It's the reverse mount hood.
Yeah, if anything, you might be going faster because there's air flowing through there, so there might be a little less resistance.
I noticed the temperature go down.
Hey, there you go.
There you
Fucking
go,
temp
there
gauge
you
went
go,
down a little
BMW
bit.
guys. You ever got
Probably-
cooling issues?
Probably act like a wing, you know, pull air through, high pressure
It
on
just
top,
starts
low pressure on
fanning
the
the
bottom.
engine. You got it, little buddy.
The car's wafting itself. Oh, Lord have mercy! Oh, Lord have mercy!
Okay. Well,
Ah.
that's probably enough, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, definitely a good one.
Yeah. Well, if you've made it to the end, congratulations.
Yeah. If you haven't been to a Gambler yet, regardless of what state you're watching this from, I'm gonna guess like the 5 of you from New York. Get out there, do it. Find a beater. Nobody cares what it is. Don't overthink the build. Just do it.
Yep.
Just buy a car and go beat the snot out of it.
But there's also, because that's what I do, and I've never been able to make it because I keep breaking it.
Well, like,
I'm always like a week away, and then it's like,
be like me. Save it until like, don't drive it, don't test it, and get to the
See,
Gambler.
I can't do that. There's always like the whole row of train tracks in a road that goes down, and it's just nothing but mud pits. And every day I go to the car show during the summer, I race down this strip. I've got and it's that deep of water where I hit it, and then like the Focus, it skis across the top of the water. You know, it doesn't sink. I
sounds like
can't
your
help.
problem,
I can't help it. I can't help it. I just if I see something that and there's no one around and I'm not gonna get in trouble, I'm gonna send it.
See, like,
That's why I said, like, when I was going through my cars, every car I've owned, I've broken.
like everybody gives me shit about towing the cars to the Gambler, but like the Volvo and the Sentra were 100% untested, and thank God I towed them there, because the Sentra wouldn't have made it back home. It broke down, like it started separating itself at checkpoint 4. I was like I needed that extra 50 miles.
Yep.
Oh, good times. I'll definitely be back if you have me again.
Definitely.
Yeah, it would be fun.
All right. Bye, YouTube.
Adios.
Yep.